The opening of this video game still gives me a soft tingle that runs down my spine. The moment I saw this opening, I knew The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess would be right up my alley. I still remember the teaser trailer for this game that was revealed in 2005. There were subtle aspects that were clearly changed to fit a larger audience after the reveal. Despite the tweaks, I wanted to play this game. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is an action-adventure role-playing video game released in 2006 by Nintendo for the GameCube and Wii consoles. You play as Link, as with, every Legend of Zelda game, who lives in a small remote village in the Ordon province. Link is asked by his elders to deliver a gift to the royal family of Hyrule and prepare for his journey towards the castle. Everything was going smoothly until an evil presence abruptly raids the village, turning everything into chaos. Link becomes separated from his village during the tragic incident and ends up in a dark and twisted realm of Hyrule. He then discovers that all of the lands of Hyrule are now engulfed in this malignant darkness. Link begins a dangerous journey to purify Hyrule and discover the cause of the evil presence taking hold. My introduction to the Legend of Zelda series began with The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Except, I did not get the truest experience of the game like my older brother and sister did. You see, back in the era of the Nintendo 64, there were no such things as accounts that you could sign in. Everything had to be shared among family members. Ocarina of Time had only 3 save slots, which is pretty standard for these types of games. My siblings each got a save file of their own, and I had to share one with my dad. I remember our file was called DadKel or KelDad something. My name mixed with Dad. The first time seeing Princess Zelda was probably embarrassing for my dad, as she asks what your name is, and the game reads KelDad. Years later, my family began to properly split up accounts, and I finally was able to play Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker respectfully. Though each of these games are great in their own way, Twilight Princess was on the horizon for being something that eventually I could finally get into for the Legend of Zelda series. Ironically, my older brother was more of a fan of Majora's Mask, while my older sister was a fan of Wind Waker. I could feel the time to make our trinity of favorite individual Legend of Zelda games coming. I only had to wait to make that claim, and I'm glad I did. The lingering aspect of Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker's art style finally ended with Twilight Princess. This was a much-needed redesign to the Legend of Zelda series during the middle of the 2000s to quell the insurrection plaguing fans. There was a huge conflict and divide among fans over the ideas of the art styles between Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker. To me, this art style is exactly how I envisioned the Legend of Zelda series to be. The thematic tone and use of heavy contrasts are all spectacular. I am a fan of the epic look that Twilight Princess gives. Link looks and feels like a badass in his traditional green garb, while Zelda is beautiful and captivating in her regal dress, as a princess should look like. The tone of the game also plays a huge part in the artwork and design. Twilight Princess sets a very dark and atmospheric setting filled with surrealism. I love the fact that they took the darker approach for Twilight Princess. Additionally, the story is exponentially more interesting with the use of the surrealistic atmosphere. Facial expressions are more succinct and convey feelings and emotions instantly within a scene. Without verbal dialogue, you immediately recognize the intention of the story and the sequences that play out. This type of design work could not have been easy to put together. Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker had facial expressions for their characters, but Twilight Princess uses much more. The entire 3D mesh, polygons, and skeletal bone rigs on every character are used to portray individual bodily traits and features. For those that do not understand, you first construct a 3D model of a character, which becomes, or is referred to as, a 3D mesh. Once the details and character features are finished, a skeleton rig is created inside the 3D mesh. The rig is composed of linking components that extend across the entire 3D mesh, referred to as bones, and are internally fused to specific parts of the mesh. The skeletal rig is what makes a character move and be posed in a lifelike way for conceptual cinematic scenes. Like I said, this could not have been easy at all. All of the traditional races of people and areas from the Legend of Zelda series return, and they look authentic. Gorons look rough and tough, while the Zoras inhibit a more natural humanoid appearance to give them more characteristics. The townspeople are all of different shapes and sizes, embellishing the truest features of what a city would look like in the world of Hyrule. The last thing I wish to highlight is the chiral blend with the Twilight Realms of the constructed levels and maps within the game. The Twilight Realms may not seem like much to the average person, but I could tell that these were special. How do you make Hyrule look like a Twilight engulfed realm? The skybox, lighting, particle effect systems, color scale, enemy appearances, and even the landscapes are all blended together for a special experience. Then, when you finally rid the Twilight from Hyrule, you were rewarded with the original design concepts of what Hyrule should have looked like. The list of art and design elements can go on for miles in The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. If they used another art style, I highly doubt Twilight Princess would be the same. Let alone capture the epicness that you experience. Like most Legend of Zelda games, nothing beats the story. However, I admitted with my brother that there's one thing that bothers us about Twilight Princess. Regardless of that blemish, I still love this story. The theme for the story is a simple black and white approach that eventually becomes a soft, comforting gray. There are actually two protagonists to this story, one made of light and the other dark. Midna is an outcast Twili who is on an absolute conquest for revenge to reclaim her Twilight Realm. She eventually discovers Link on her path and decides to use him for her own goals and ambitions. Link, on the other hand, is just a young man from a remote village. He is well liked and is an aspiring farmhand. Because we all need farmers to live, and Link definitely fits that description, yep. However, his village is attacked by an unknown enemy, and he is separated during the assault. Once Midna finds Link, they form a sort of mutual bond and go on an adventure together. Link eventually becomes the pinnacle of strength for everyone, His big heart and ferocious tendencies to face any danger stirs Midna to feel guilty about her decision for revenge. I love both Link and Midna. Each of them have a character arc that shows drastic change. Midna discovers that her revenge was one of greed, and she rectifies her plan for both the Twilight Realm and Hyrule, while Link discovers that his bravery becomes a constitution of strength for everyone in Hyrule and the Twilight Realm. For most of the story, Midna sports a prickly personality, which is one of her whimsical traits that is quite charming and contrasts well with Link's. Link holds a sort of serious demeanor with a tinge of kindness mixed in with his personality. The two of them seamlessly complement one another and support the rest of the cast of characters they encounter. Midna's dialogue lines are sometimes so crass, they make me chuckle or smile. Besides the protagonists, I also enjoy Zelda and Ganondorf's characters. Zelda is just classy and elegant in Twilight Princess. Gone are the days of her spunky self masquerading as a Sheikah or pirate. She turned over a new leaf and became a responsible ruler. Zelda has a very calm and peaceful serenity about her that is just graceful. Ganondorf has always been a badass ever since his debut in Ocarina of Time. The man is literally a legend himself. Who could say they took over the entire land of Hyrule by themselves? His appearance in Twilight Princess showcases how much of a beast he really is and the integrity of what a villain is capable of doing. Ganondorf fills the story with a harrowing evil that encapsulates awesomeness. The one off-putting character for Twilight Princess is Zant. I mentioned earlier that there was something that bothered my brother and me, and that was Zant's character. Still, he is a necessary catalyst that holds the story together. Twilight Princess embodies an epic tale of what the Legend of Zelda series has to offer. Most of the characters are likable and charming in their own way. However, the greatest aspect that Twilight Princess has to offer is the darker and sinister tone that broke the series into a sort of revolution. The Legend of Zelda series is known far and wide across our world for having fantastic music. Obviously, Ocarina of Time has bolstered the franchise into a headlong musical streak. I do not hold anything against the old Nintendo Entertainment System Legend of Zelda games with the 8-bit music, however. They're still great. But when the Nintendo 64 ruptured the playing field of home consoles and brought Ocarina of Time as a launch title, everything changed for video game soundtracks. I mean, everything. Nintendo clearly cares for their Legend of Zelda soundtracks for each and every title. Twilight Princess is no different. The game was given a soundtrack that will last for years. Some of the greatest pieces written are ones that are in the minority. The cave theme when you are exploring a dark cavern gives you a sense of solace, unlike anything. The training theme when you are receiving a sword skill is symbolic and epic. The Aftermath theme, when you are about to exit a dungeon and have completed a boss, is one of my favorites. The River Rapids minigame theme is light and cheerful, making the experience a pretty fun ride. And last but not least is the Queen Rutella theme that plays when you visit her ghost. This somber, individualistic soundtrack carries a sense of remorse and grief as you stand listening to her final words. There is a plethora of musical soundtracks to discover within Twilight Princess. The most notable ones are Midna's Lament and the Hyrule Field soundtracks. While these are great, you should probably take the time and discover your own favorite musical tracks that lie dormant within the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Let me tell you, there are a ton of themes. If you are shocked that Twilight Princess is placed 7th on my list of top video games of all time, then you are in for quite a ride. Let me just make this clear. I love Twilight Princess for what it is, and not because it's a part of the Legend of Zelda franchise. If you were to remove the Legend of Zelda brand element entirely from the Twilight Princess, this game would still be fantastic. What I just stated is the kind of perspective that I have when viewing video games. Can you remove crucial elements of a video game and still make a great experience? With The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, you certainly can. The Triforce within my family comes together at long last between my siblings and me. My brother takes the Triforce of Courage, with his favorite title being Majora's Mask. My sister takes the Triforce of Wisdom, with her favorite title of Wind Waker. And I get the best one, the Triforce of Power, with Twilight Princess. Anyways, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess holds a very special and important position. Not only does the game house an epic adventure, but it shows that I'm not entirely a gun and tank loving freak. I do in fact love epic tales of grandeur.